Golive.
There we go.
Golive,
Olive.
Golive. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's Michael Knight, New York Vinnie. He's New
He's
York Vinnie.
Vinny.
I'm Michael
He's
Knight. No. He's Michael Knight. I'm New York Vinnie. And this is Mikey and
one or
Vinnie.
the
It's
other.
Mikey and Vinnie take on the world. Mikey and Vinnie urge you to get out and vote. Mikey and Vinnie urge you to put $5 in an envelope and send it to Mikey and Vinnie.
We'll send you a
What
prayer
else
cloth
can
or
you do?
not.
Well, you could do or not, but I'd rather you do or just do it.
Uh, Yesterday I hit the wall on this presidential race. I just hit the wall.
You did.
All the
How
stories
come?
about
What happened?
all the stories about Donald Trump doing terrible things, saying terrible things, acting in a terrible way, unable to be a gentleman in any circumstances, in any conditions, under any pressure. And the people who are voting for him love it. They love his preposterous approach. They love his insane comments. They love his anti-military comments. They love the fact that he calls Kamala Harris a shit live from the podium. Unheard of things in the presidential race that have never happened, that will never happen again. And the people who vote for him, the people who idolize him, see nothing wrong with it. They make excuses for him. They love it. And I can't understand how we've come so far from normalcy, from how we've fallen so far into insanity that anything he says and any nonsense that he comes up with and any destruction of mores and the way we've always done things in this country is welcomed and applauded and rewarded and appreciated and admired. I don't understand it. I can't understand it.
Well, it's class and dignity have left the building when it comes to Donald Trump. Uh, I
But
don't
nobody leaves the
understand.
building with him. Everybody's with him on it. They just fall right in line.
Well,
Mitch
not
McConnell,
everybody,
Mike Johnson,
Michael.
and the rest.
I'll argue with you about everybody, but it's more people than you would ever expect to. It used to be that you see people like that, and they were looked at as just a lower class of society.
Poor white
Just
trash. Poor white
yeah,
trash.
trash, white trash, black trash, Indian trash, Chinese trash, whatever trash you want to call it. It was still people who did those kinds of things um, didn't move the needle because they were expected that they lived in a certain place and they were away from us and we'd never turn into them. But a number of things have conspired to make those people more normal than
The new
ever.
normal.
The trash is not afraid to be out in the open anymore. They're not
They're
afraid.
happy
There
to be
used to be a
trash.
time when they'd be embarrassed.
And the other trash welcomes you to the trash. Welcome to the trash, trash. You're the new trash.
Well, and I think part of that is the poisoning of our minds with reality TV. I think that we've watched so much reality TV that we don't look at those types of things
As
as
embarrassing, disgusting.
embarrassing anymore. When you can watch CNN in the middle of the day and hear one of the commentators use the F word, and we do it ourselves. I mean, you can point the finger at us. I mean, we don't, we use it sparingly, and we try to say it um, to make a
For
point,
emphasis.
but we still do it, and it's not. And I mean, it used to be like if we said the F word over the air on the airwaves, you worry for your job. If you did it by mistake, now you see it in the news. I'm watching CNN yesterday, and somebody put out some statement, and they're reading it verbatim, reading it verbatim, man, with the F word in it.
MSNBC
And
did it
so
too.
there's been, a crash in our society of what used to be normal. Now, I guess some of that was good. some of that because sometimes the rules were too strict, but you gotta have some you gotta have some class, you gotta have some dignity. And where do you look for that dignity? A lot of times
George
to
Carlin.
the president, a lot of times to politicians, a lot of times to community leaders. And
Not anymore.
they're just as bad as the guy in the corner candy store that used to curse at everybody. So I mean, there was the corner candy store, and the guy put them effing papers back. I mean, there was got to with just every second word is a curse word, and I think that part of that, the great societal philosopher that I am, uh, is because it makes people feel dominant over another person. The 7 words you can't say on television,
Can now be
when
said.
they are used, give you a feeling, I think, I'm interested in your take on this, in the power that they have to intimidate, to make people feel um, less than, to put fear in the hearts and the minds of people. I think they say words don't hurt, but I think sometimes these words do hurt.
Well, it's an editorial decision that the networks have made this year. They started with the word shit, they've moved to the word fuck. And the reason that they're doing it is because they're quoting national leaders whose influence on the public, whose gravity in society, whose decisions in the future and in the present are so tremendous that we have the right as voters to know what they really said and how they meant it. And I understand that to just say the F word is one way to do it, but we're past that with Donald Trump
Yeah, I mean, and it
and the
normalizes
changes
it,
he has
doesn't
brought to society. Yeah,
it? I mean, to me,
the
it
funny
just
thing
makes it
is,
more.
it seems like it's excusable or admissible or understandable on cable news, but not on NBC nightly news or CBS 6 o'clock news.
Well, and I just the
There you have
reason
to
for
use
that,
the F hyphen hyphen hyphen.
right, is the cable networks don't have to be licensed by the FCC, whereas the over-the-air networks hold federal licenses that still say you cannot say these 7 words or whichever the words are. That's a revocable. They could revoke your license for that, or they could, I mean, obviously, would have to go through a lot of
Challenge it,
legal stuff,
find them, suspend,
right? But
reassign.
it could cost you big money. It's probably why you don't hear those words unless it's a mistake or a slip up on Saturday Night Live or any of
Right.
the late night shows.
I think they probably have a means to beep them if they want to.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think they're all now. I think ever since that Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson thing, that all the networks run on 7-second delay.
I
I'm
should think,
pretty sure
especially
of that. I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere. But nevertheless, it anesthetizes us uh, to these words, and so it's no biggie when somebody utters one out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon while you're watching CNN or Fox or whatever whatever outlet it is.
there should be a listener warning. You say the stories that we're going to cover are true and accurate to the best of our nature, to the best of our ability to judge them. But the nature of the words and the conversation and the ongoing news coverage may not be suitable for children in the room. May
Yeah, it's
not be
pretty
suitable for
amazing to
squeamish
think
super
that
Christians.
news wouldn't be suitable for children, huh?
It ain't going to be pretty.
Well, we're not in a pretty
But it
place
wasn't.
now.
But it wasn't what Trump said yesterday. It wasn't the words he used. It wasn't any of that. It was just that I had had enough, and the news, as it droned on, was just depressing and off-putting.
Yeah, yeah. I listen. I've gotten that. I've felt that for weeks now. I mean, to the point where I've had to
Coffee.
turn off. I probably listened to more music in the past 2 or 3 weeks than I've listened to in a couple of years because I can't stand it anymore.
And
There's a
how do you
feeling
choose
of
your
hope.
music, may I ask? Are you listening to Sirius, or what do you do? What music are you listening to?
I listen to a combination of Sirius when I'm in the car, because all of the cars have Sirius radio, satellite radio, or I listen to YouTube or Spotify. I have Spotify. So between those three, I get pretty much what I want. YouTube, I find a lot of rare pieces of music that I haven't heard or have been looking for years. I found more stuff on YouTube that I've been looking for years and haven't found and have finally found on YouTube. There's a song called "At the Party." Um, I forget. I don't think it's Jimmy Soul. I forget who does it, but
Archie
it's
Bell and
just
the Drells.
no, no, no. It's some Spanish or Spanish American guy out of New York, and it was a big hit in New York in maybe 1963 or 64. And I hadn't heard the song in years, but it's one of those songs that you always have in your head,
Of course,
and every once in a while it comes up. And so,
comes up in the shuffle.
yeah, well, no, it comes up in your mind, yeah, in the shuffle in your mind, and
Right.
so finally one day, a couple of weeks ago, I went looking for it, and I found it.
Of
There's been
course.
several songs on YouTube that have been like that. That it's taken me some research and some searching through different things. This other song that I found, um, that my mother used to love this song. I've been looking for it for years. It was a WABC chart hit for like a week in 1964, and several people have covered it, but as album cuts. So it wasn't really a hit for anybody. Maybe the most interesting version of it came from Lou Rawls, but it's called La Novia, or The Wedding. And my mom used to love this song. Every time she would hear it on the radio, she'd crank it up. And it actually was originally done by a guy named Antonio Prieto, who is a Argentine singer. I think he's Argentinish. I think he's Argentine. Um, and lo and behold, I found the original version that she had latched onto back in 1964 when it was a hit on the WABC chart. And I never knew that even the name of the song. The only thing I knew about the song is that they sang Ave Maria in the song.
Like you do.
Yeah, like you would with any Beatles song. But so I researched the song a little bit and I found the exact song that she was listening to. It was actually a British song that I guess Les Sklar, who was probably the program director at that time, had heard somewhere and thought this would play well in June and wedding season in New York, and slipped it into the top 25 or whatever WABC used to put out. I think they put out 25.
Only 25,
Um,
not 30.
no, I think it was 25 that WABC put out on their weekly
Survey.
survey. Thank you, the WABC All American Survey, um, and which is a great tool if you're researching a song because they have all of them are posted online.
Wow.
There's this website, Music Radio 77. That's a great website because they have air checks of old WABC and all the different guys they found. They have a collection of the jingles, and they have a collection of moments in WABC's history. They must have gotten hold of all the logger tapes
And they actually
somehow.
kept them, which many stations
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. One of the engineers, I believe, kept the tapes, thinking that someday I'd find some use for them. Just like I have, 5,000 cassette tapes of my shows at KUSF in the
So,
city, and
so do
I don't know what I'm
I.
going to do with them.
I don't know what I'm going to do
But I
with them.
have them. If I ever have to get a job, I can go to them and get an air check. Um, those will probably go in the trash. I mean, who's gonna? I'll save a few of them, but I don't think my daughter is gonna sit there and listen to them, all of them at some
No.
point. But I saved the gold. I saved the good stuff. I saved all the baseball shows, and I saved a bunch of good stuff. The one that I want to get, I want to copy and put it on digital and send a copy to you. Is you probably don't even remember this, but we had a Christmas party at the city one year when we were in the new building.
I remember that party. There was a video.
Yeah, and I have a video, and I took the video of it. I had a video. Or did I have it, or did I think JC had it? And remember the engineer guy, JC, and I took it from him, and I walked around, and I just started interviewing people. And it's a great tape because it has you, as Kailani is probably about
A year old
three.
or less.
Yeah. It has Bruce, it has Ronnie, Lorraine, Kate, Susan Eschenberg. And for people that don't know, these are people that we worked with at KKCY. Uh, and I want to get that and put it up on the internet so people could,
A short-lived
see it
experiment
behind the scenes.
in
A
excellence.
few people that remember the station, although a lot of people do remember that station.
You'd have to remember it.
Yeah, there's so many people that station influenced musically. Um, it was just a great station. It didn't last long,
Nope,
but
not
it
long enough.
certainly. I mean, people talk about that station still today. Like if I talk to somebody our age in San Francisco or from San Francisco, I say, "Hey, do you remember the city?" And, oh
Yeah.
yeah, 98.9 FM, the city. So people remember it.
Station had the weirdest signal. There's a big
Yeah,
lump of it went this way. Most of it went out to sea.
yeah. If you were in a boat out by the Farallons,
You could get it clear, crystal clear.
it was like it's like we were always sitting in the room next door. But a lot of, I mean, I cut my teeth at that station. That was, that was my first ever commercial radio job. I'd been over at KUSF before, and it was a great place because I was going to school there. I mean, I was learning from you. I was learning from Norman Davis. I mean, what better teacher could you have around music and around putting sets of music together than Norman Davis?
Here's how you do it.
Yeah, here's how you make people stop and listen to their radio. Bobby Dale, the
Yeah.
late great Bobby Dale. I mean, you sat and you talked to him at night, and it was just this. He taught you how to make your listeners a club. How to make your listeners
A great
enjoy
bond.
you as much as they enjoyed the music.
Right.
It was a great. It was. You taught me how to do morning radio. and how to do that. So when the opportunities came up for me, which I never thought would really happen, um, it was it was Dan Carlisle, who has
We've been
more of an
everywhere.
influence on me than he ever knew, because he said one thing to me. And I remember to this day, he took his gum out of his mouth, he put it on the board, as he always used to do when he had to open the mic. And he said, "There's only one way you're ever going to get good in this business." And I said, "What?" He says, "You got to do it every day, man." He says, "If you do it for
Yeah.
one person or you do it for a million people, you got to do it every day. That's the way you get good." And after that, I never refused any time I could be on the radio. I never refused an opportunity. And his advice has served me well throughout the years. Uh, I mean, I really, I, I don't know how much anybody from the city knows how much they influenced me, but you and all of those guys, because you were professionals. You guys were the real deal. You weren't a bunch of college kids like at the Quake or comedians or this. You guys were radio guys. You guys had all been
Yeah.
places and done it successfully. I mean, when I got to San Francisco, you know, Michael Knight and Peter B. Collins was on billboards everywhere.
Yep, we were.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't drive down the street and not see a billboard with Michael Knight and Peter B. Collins and the KRQR logo.
We had a good time in the morning.
Yeah, and the good thing about the city was, I won't wax too poetic about the city, is that everybody was open to talking about what they did. There
Yeah,
wasn't really an
ongoing topic
ego.
of
Well,
discussion.
yeah, yeah. Everybody was. There wasn't a feeling that everybody was trying to take my job. Like, I don't want to talk to the janitor because the janitor secretly really wants to be on the air. So I'm not
That's
going
always
to
the way
tell
it
the
is at the
janitor
radio
little
station.
tricks I know.
Yeah.
Mrs. G. She didn't care if you were on the air, doing a commercial, whatever. She'd open that door and just come in with the vacuum cleaner.
Here we go. Here we go. Let's get this place clean.
She didn't care. But that was the
Yeah.
city, and it was a
She'll
wonderful
tell you,
learning.
hey, you morning guys, I've heard you on the air. You're not that good. Let me vacuum.
Exactly. Let me come in with the vacuum cleaner. It makes more sense than you do. Now I know that you hate the Dodgers, and
No,
I'm with you
Fernando
on
is
that
different.
in so many ways. But boy, was there anything bigger in sports in the early '80s than Fernando Mania?
And he was a punchy little 19-year-old when he came up. He was a kid. He was
Yeah,
lovable. He was embraceable. He was cuddly. And when he did his wind up, he would look to the heavens. He'd do his wind up, and his eyes would go all the way up to the top of his head. That's the part that I couldn't figure out. What's he doing up there? What's he looking at? How
I
does he get
was
his
the
eyes
same
back to see
way.
the catcher?
I was the same way. How does this guy throw the ball to the plate? He can't see it.
With his eyes up in the top of his head.
Yeah, he'd have that. He'd just go right, just up, and
Yep,
you'd look at it on TV, and it was
that's Fernando calling.
it's Fernando. I wish it was Fernando calling. It was, but in a time when baseball was had a lot of problems,
Yeah.
I mean, you had the strike in '81, and just a lot of franchises threatening to move, and just a lot of stuff going on. Free agency wasn't that old, so you had people really not quite understanding what was going on. Fernando was the I don't want to say the savior of the game, but he brought a lot of interest into the game, especially among the Hispanic community.
Huge. Absolutely huge.
Yeah, just
I think the fan base of the Dodgers now, in terms of its unwavering support, is predominantly Hispanic.
yeah. They became the Dodgers, the Los Goyas, uh,
Doyos.
became the team, uh, with Fernando of Hispanic America.
Yes. Still is.
And obviously, it didn't hurt that they're in Southern California, where there was a huge population. But and rightly so, the guy could pitch.
Oh yeah.
I
Fernando Mania
mean,
was not just about the kid. He could pitch.
he could throw that ball, man. He could chuck that ball wherever he wanted to chuck it. And all these accomplished hitters would come up, the Rod Carews of the well, maybe not Rod Carew, but I'm trying to think of some of the big hitters of the day, the Richie Allens. Oh no, he was gone too. I'm going. I'm not aligning my time periods.
Pete
Uh,
Rose was
but the
there.
Darrell Porters, those guys, the guys that were 300 hitters.
Anybody with a big bat had problems picking up the ball. It came out from behind his leg.
Yeah, it just you couldn't solve the guy, and it was amazing. Now Jersey Boy, along what you just said, what was his best pitch? That in Jersey Boy that listens to us wants to know. Um,
Well,
and
he
I
probably
thought,
had four pitches: a fastball,
yeah,
slider,
he
curve,
used to throw a slurve.
and a changeup.
Yeah, he had a slurve it was that pitch that came out from behind his leg, and it looked like it was coming up here, but when it got to the plate, it was
Fell
down
off the
here.
table. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
Well, I
pretty
think
amazing.
Jersey Boy's question is a good one because Fernando would know what his best pitch was on any given day, and if it was his changeup, you were going to see a lot of them mixed with the fastball you couldn't hit. Fastball for a ball, changeup for a strike.
And I think part of it in his early going, at least probably his first and second time around the league, was that he didn't look like he could pitch.
No, he was a
It
pudgy
was it
little
was
guy.
almost a joke that here comes this
Yes,
pudgy guy out there who looks like he should have retired years ago,
there he
and
is.
there he is throwing the ball by you like you know either 95 or 65, but whichever way it comes in, you ain't gonna hit it.
And because he was so unlikely a figure of success and great talent and athleticism, that made him all the more lovable. He didn't look like he could do it, but he could.
Yeah, yeah, and when he did it, he really, I mean, he did it.
And
He
he stayed in the fans' hearts, especially because he stayed on the Spanish broadcast for years.
right. Matter of fact, I have a record in my collection, a picture disc of a song called. I'm going to see if I can actually call it up. Uh, Fernando, sign a ball for me, and this was probably done in '82, and I'll see if before the end of the show I can call it up and get it. I didn't think of it this morning to get it, but it was one of the more popular songs in on the baseball show, that I did every year.
Oh yeah.
And and the picture disc is a picture of him with his leg up, his eyes
His
up,
wind up.
his arms up, and he's ready to go. He's ready to throw. And it's just it was a beautiful thing, that was in a time where there were so many people who didn't believe that black pitchers or Spanish pitchers could cut the mustard here.
Yeah.
It was a time of a lot of I mean, not that today isn't, but you were
Right.
smack dab in the middle of the black quarterback controversy that black quarterbacks couldn't throw the ball or didn't have
Couldn't
the
manage the
brains
offense. Right.
to manage the offense. Um, and Doug Williams for Washington
Redskins.
and
Yep.
Fernando Valenzuela for Major League Baseball stuck a pin in that racist balloon. And I'm glad they did.
Eat my dust.
Yeah, he was, like today, you see so many people head to the ballpark when Otani comes to town.
Right.
You saw it with Ichiro when Ichiro would come to town. And you saw it back then when Fernando came to town. Remember Fernando coming to New York. And, now Dodger games, it was hard to tell because even in 81, Dodger
Yep. They still
games
had.
were still
Yep.
attractions to New Yorkers. People would still go. There was still a lot of Brooklyn Dodger fans
Yep.
around who would fill up the ballpark when the Dodgers and the Giants came to town.
Yep.
But the ballpark was full when Fernando came to town. If you thought you were going to see him pitch, if his spot in the rotation lined up, it was that game usually sold out. So,
Vinny, I got a problem here that I'm going to have to deal with, and I'm sorry that I have to bail out, but I must go.
okay, I will talk to you
Good for Fernando.
Friday.
Talk to you Friday.
Talk to you Friday.
Thank you.
Michael, take care.
You,
I hope
Bye.
everything's okay.
Oh yeah.
All right, Michael Knight leaving us a little bit early this morning, and we will. I just got a couple of things that we'll talk about real quick, and then we'll wrap it up early as well. The one thing I did want to touch on. I did want to touch on all of the stuff that's going on with Trump this morning. I almost feel like we're pounding up against a wall that is impenetrable. If you're a Trump person, you either don't believe what they have told you or what is being reported, or you're just so against Kamala Harris or anybody else that it just doesn't make sense for you to vote for her. And I can understand that. Listen, I can. I guess it just pulls at me that this guy Trump could say these things about our military and about our country and about the things that your father would never let you say in the house. In my house, if we ever would have said Hitler had the right idea, we get smacked. You had uncles that fought against Hitler. I had, I had relatives that went to war to stop Hitler. Some that were injured. I don't think anybody gave their life, but many did. So when you said Hitler in my house, you were saying a pretty bad word. There was no admiration of Hitler. At least none that I remember. And my father was a pretty staunch, honor America, conservative type of dude. He was a flag waver, and he was somebody who believed in the honor of this country over the president, over anything. That your country comes first. And I think to hear that really really kind of would have crushed him to hear somebody saying Hitler had the right idea. So sad. Anyway, so I implore you, if you haven't voted yet, think about your vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I don't think anybody in the media. I think you should be smart enough to make your own decision, or you shouldn't be voting. But I will say to you, take your time, get the facts, and look at who is going to do better for you over the next 4 years. I don't think you could make a case to me to show me that Trump is going to do better for you over the next 4 years. Maybe you could. I'd love to see it. But, and I do ask you to go out and vote, to go out and use your ballot, which I have right here. Use your ballot and vote for the person that you think is going to do better for this country, is going to honor what we have in this country. I know who I'm going to vote for. I hope that you join me in voting for her. She may not be perfect, but I don't know how you could go through another 4 years of Donald Trump. And I fear for the condition that he will leave this country in when his 4 years are up, if he leaves. If he leaves. All right, that's it. I'm going to wrap it up on that note. I wanted to make sure we got that in today because I know the ballots are out there and people are out there looking at them. And, I get thousands of questions. Well, thousands of people asking me the same question. Who are you voting for? They must not be paying attention. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll be back on Friday morning. And if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. Until then, please take care of each other. Look out for the other guy when you're driving, when you're walking, and just in life. It'll do you good. Very good words. Look out for the other guy. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby. See you on Friday morning at 10:10. Have a good one.